the trans community is experiencing a lot of division. And I've been really feeling into, are there things that we can all agree on? Are there common principles that unite us, that transcend our individual differences? Like, what needs to happen for this to be a circle, for the entire community to come together? And so what's the thing that is holding that circle together? Because if we're going to make progress, if we're moving towards a gender-healed world where we're free to be ourselves and we can experience gender peace, in my mind, the only way for that to happen is if we come together. So again, the question is, what is the thing that brings us all together? So my proposition, and I want to get your thoughts on this, the thing that all trans people can agree on is this idea of gender healing. This idea that underneath the superficial differences, we're having a shared collective experience associated with gender, and we all want that experience to feel good, to feel balanced, to feel peaceful, to feel creative and harmonious. And I think that's something that is powerful enough and transcendent enough that we could all say we have this in common. I want to feel good about gender. Inside my body, I want to experience healing where I'm no longer at war with myself, or I'm no longer denying parts of myself, but instead I've just established an inner foundation and an inner ecosystem that feels balanced and peaceful and whole. So I think that this type of conversation where the trans person who's experiencing gender pain acknowledges that I want to experience gender healing, I think that that's something that is powerful enough that it can overshadow everything that divides us. And also think about like how strong we can be when we come together, when we start focusing on the things that connect us as opposed to the things that divide us, how much more activated and powerful and undeniable that type of a force is in the world. Because we all feel that intensity of wanting to create a new world. We all feel that intensity of like, I'm so frustrated with the way that things are. But if we're thinking in the terms of gender healing, there's almost this fundamental shift where the focus of our energies gets directed inward. And the healing path is about tuning into the things that are working and not working within the inner ecosystem. And healing implies a sort of a coming together internally and a sort of a balancing and a processing of trauma and a like really meeting ourselves in the way that we would ask the world to meet us. So it's like the ways that we would want to be supported by the external environment, by our family, by religion, by the government, by schools. Somebody who's walking the healing path can kind of sense that maybe it's my job to meet my needs. Maybe that's my responsibility. Maybe nobody else is going to magically change my environment so that all of a sudden, like, oh, now I'm okay because somebody out there changed something. And of course, I'm not saying this to dismiss the things that are wrong in the world, right? This is more like I'm speaking practically. Like practically, what can we do right now? What makes sense? What is my work to do? And if I can take responsibility for my own pain, for my own inner division, if I can take ownership of an inner environment that feels out of balance, and I can recognize that, oh, okay, this is my work to do. It's not like I am okay with the things that are happening out there, but I recognize, okay, I have limited amounts of time and energy throughout the day, and wouldn't it make sense for me to devote that time and energy to making the most impact in my life that I can? And so where's that impact zone? Well, it's addressing the things that are happening inside of my own experience, inside of my own domain. And so this is something that I wanted to just like propose to you guys. Like, are there aspects of the healing journey or in your own experience, the transcendent qualities or virtues that you feel like we as a community could form a circle around? Are there forces that transcend the individual experience and can solidify us as an interconnected group of people who have a sort of shared humanity, and that we are leaning into the things that connect us, and we're sort of channeling the collective energy in a direction that is peaceful and kind and compassionate, and that we are activists, but it's more like we're activists of love. And so, yeah, I'm wanting to get your thoughts as to like, how do we as a community start bringing more people into this shared awareness? And how do we start uniting the community in a way that doesn't create more division, in a way that isn't angry and combative, but it's almost like we channel our anger and our rage and our upset through this filter of an open heart? Because when the heart remains open, anger can still exist, but it becomes expressed a lot differently. And because when you have an open heart, you can sense the connection between you and your enemy. And as a community, sure, we have so-called enemies, but if we can engage with enemies and policies and institutions that we feel like are against us, and we do so with an open heart, the trans agenda or the trans movement is going to look and feel different than it does now. And we're still going to have cliques and groups, and like, I'm not going to get along with this kind of person, and this person's not going to get along with that person. And we're going to have superficial differences no matter what. But if we can tune into the thing that unites us, and we can all tap into this innate healing journey where we're taking accountability for our own life experience, and we're recognizing that we would rather experience peace than to be like in the right, if that makes sense. Like, if we stopped needing to have this positionality where I know that I'm right because I know that you're wrong, but if we kind of recognize that life is messier than that, and that ultimately we're all on the same side, and that the things that stand in the way of unity are usually our ideas about the world and the stories that we tell ourselves about our enemies. And if we can start reframing the entire trans agenda to be unifying, and we start bringing people into our inner circle, allowing people to see us and our vulnerability, and to let people see our pain and our upset, but doing so in a way where we're also not putting up a wall. Because I think that it's appropriate for us to speak up and to speak out and to stand for the things that we need to stand for. But if we were to do so in a way where we're not reinforcing division, but instead we're inviting people into unification, and then I think that the thing that's really going to pull us together is when more and more of us start recognizing that gender healing, taking accountability for our own pain, and really tuning into like, how do I meet my own needs? How do I address my trauma? How do I balance my nervous system? How do I experience gender peace? I think that ultimately turns into giving you the skill set to then bring peace out here, and in the ways that you're able to engage with yourself compassionately. All of a sudden, you're building this muscle so that you can engage with everybody else compassionately. And so these are just some of my thoughts about where we're at as a community, maybe what's working, what's not, and what's in store for us, and how to move forward. And I would suggest that I think the only way for us as a community to walk that path is that we have to do it together. And that in order to do it together, we have to find a way to tune into our shared common humanity, and that through compassion and love for ourselves, we can then shine that outwards and hopefully be ambassadors for this new world that we are determined to create. So that's all. Have a good day.